Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is my review of Skyfall. I don't know. I know sometimes reviews are always like the 23rd James Bond. I have no idea. It's the movie that came out in 2012 that I didn't see in the theaters because I hated Quantum of Solace. And then I saw it on Netflix or something like a year later, and the first time I just hated it. And I've come to love it more than any. It's not. It's not just my favorite James Bond series, and I'm just like, I don't know, I wouldn't call myself meh on James Bond. Like I see most of the movies. It's not something I think about. You know what I mean? Like there are characters and like I love the Expendables. Sometimes I just think about the Expendables. But I don't really think about it's kind of the same with like Fast and the Furious. Like I never think about the Fast and the Furious, but I see all the movies and I enjoy them, and then I forget about them as soon as I leave. James Bond is kind of the same. Like I don't really care. When I was a kid, it was still the Roger Moore, like goofy, dopey James Bond. So I was like, I remember seeing those as a kid, just like, this is stupid. Why do people like James Bond? So then we got the Pierce Brosnan. And I remember really being into Goldeneye. And then the other ones, they were all just kind of like, whatever. I like Casino Royale, but I only saw it once. And Quantum of Solace was a funny one because I saw it on a trip across the Atlantic, and it was really late, and I was seeing it, and I was like, it was showing on the seat back in front of me, and I'd fall asleep. I'd wake up and then I woke up and I was like, I had this weird dream. It was like there's like a hotel in the desert. And then my buddy's like, yeah, that's the movie. I go, oh, it's really that bad? In my dream, it was bad. No, he goes, that wasn't a dream. You were watching it and falling asleep and waking back up. Oh, yeah. So I skipped it. And then the thing that I hated about the first one, the first time I saw it, that it was all I noticed. And then in this one, I barely noticed at all, is, what's his name? I forget his name. Whatever. Silva, the bad guy. At one point he's doing the escape thing, and it's the whole supervillain predicts every single thing that will happen, even emotional reactions of people. Like he can come out of a door and someone will be like right there in a car waiting. You're like, come on. Like that really kind of broke it the first time. But then I got over that like the second or third viewings. And I've got to say, I just absolutely love this. So one of the things about Bond that they always said, for decades and like little think pieces is, he's just a psychopath. He hates women. He likes killing people. And he just found a way to excuse it. If he works for the government and they pay him and they give him a license to kill, he could basically do whatever the hell he wants. And what they were effectively saying in so many words is that he is not a hero. And this was the first James Bond movie that very, very specifically said he's a hero. He's not in it for the girls. He's not in it for the glory. He's not in it for the glamour and the expense account. He is literally there for his country when they need him, when they're being attacked, when they are needed to provide security for the country that he is a true patriot for. So I love that. So it starts off when we get this pretty cool scene. Jason Bourne kind of elevated and also kind of destroyed the spy action genre because I don't know if you remember, but everyone didn't used to be a ninja. Like there was Bruce Lee, and then everyone else was just throwing haymakers. You know what I mean? Nobody was doing flips. And what is the thing where you flip up and you put your legs around the person's neck and then you flip them. Everyone does that now. Every single spy does that now. No, spies used to like have little cameras that were disguised as things. And then you would pretend to smoke, and then you would click your little cigarette packet and it had a camera in it. And that's what a spy did. Spies weren't ninjas. They were like, even James Bond, like he would get in fist fights. He would throw a bunch of haymakers. I don't even remember him kicking anyone ever. Actually, he didn't even really get in that many fistfights, and it would just be, what? James Bond was literally on the level of the Adam West Batman. That was like his hand-to-hand combat skills. So all of a sudden he's basically Batman ninja. But we get a good scene with him in Turkey, and he's chasing a guy who has the knock list from the Mission Impossible movie. Yeah, sometimes you just grab bits from other movies. You go, this isn't really. This is just it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's the knock list from Mission Impossible, and I think they also did that in Mission Impossible 5. Here's the list of all our covert agents of that. Yeah, they don't make it. He's chasing a bad guy, and it's this really awesome scene. One of my favorite parts is when and this is kind of hard to explain. He jumps into a train that he had ripped apart with some construction equipment, and then as soon as he lands, he like buttons his jacket. Like that's just like James Bond smooth. But then he ends up getting shot by one of his own people by accident. They're in a now or never decision. Command decision. Make it and stand by it. She shoots a very, very difficult shot. She ends up hitting him instead of the guy, and he falls down to the water, presumed dead, but he actually is basically just, he's a little hurt physically and emotionally. So he just takes a little siesta. Now, the first couple times I watched this, for some reason, I thought he had taken like years off, but they repeat it several times that it was like 3 months. So yeah, it's a lot different movie when you realize he was just off of active duty for like, I think it was like 3 to 6 months. It wasn't years. I thought he was gone for years. So MI6 gets attacked by Silva, who's a former MI6 agent who is very bitter because he was very patriotic and did his duty, and he was captured and he had secrets and he took a suicide pill. This is a cyanide capsule hidden in a molar, and it didn't work exactly. It just burned his jaw and disfigured him, but it didn't kill him. So that the pain kind of drove him insane, and also he was kind of sold out. It was a trade. It was him for, I think she got 5 agents in exchange for him. So she, M made the decision to do that. And so what we get is a very intense movie, a long movie, a movie that might even be a little bit too long. There's this whole 30-minute bit at the end, which is basically Home Alone, and it's fine, but I feel like all of this could, they call it Skyfall, which is the Bond ancestral home. This is again one of the reasons why it drives me nuts when they're like, let's make Idris Elba James Bond. Okay, so explain how there is a black man who's 100% black from a Scottish family that holds titles going back hundreds of years. Well, he was adopted. Okay, well then that's a whole different character. That's James Bond's adopted brother. You know what I mean? Like, so they tend to use titles from James Bond short stories. So Skyfall is one. So it's got to go back to Skyfall at some point. But I've got to say, this one it's the most stylish. There's a fight in Shanghai that is just, at some point it almost seems like a high-end liqueur ad. It's like this beautiful, backgrounds in a Shanghai skyscraper. But we're talking about good stunts, but also like the emotional core of it is very strong. The best scene, the scene I go back to, I've watched this scene just by itself probably 20 times, is M is going through a tribunal. Basically, they're talking about your ways are the old ways. We don't need you, and we'll just fold you into another part of the defense service. And she starts quoting this Tennyson poem, and it's about the fated empire, but they still have the strength in their hearts to defend. And that's being cut over James Bond sprinting through London, actually sprinting against traffic, against the normal flow of society, to go stop Silva, or attempt to stop Silva, to defend people he's loyal to, basically his kind of a mother figure in M. And it really, really hammers home. Look, this is not the guy you want, he's a little grimy, he's a little rough around the edges. Yeah, he is from an earlier, darker time, but he is a hero, he's a patriot. And that part I really just really love. Silva is an excellent villain. Again, the Home Alone bit at the end is really not that great, but he has great. Oh, there's also a scene where he's walking. He comes out of a door and he walks across like the server room, a very big server room. It's a server. Okay, that's not how you do server rooms. Server rooms are about a controlled environment in every single way, including like humidity and temperature. You don't have a giant empty like auditorium and use that as a whatever. It's a movie. It's fine. But he's talking about the story about growing up on an island and how his grandmother would kill rats. And it is one of the great movie monologues of all time, especially of James Bond. Besides that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to really pump up. But like I said, the main thing I liked about this is it had great action sequences. It had a real strong emotional core to it. And it really, really hammered home. Forget all of the, salon.com, Pauline Kael, whatever. James Bond is a hero and a patriot. So that's what I really liked about it. Great performance from Daniel Craig. It's funny, when it came out, like he was always talking about, he's like, oh, this is my third one. I'm getting too old for this. He's 43. He's 43. It's just fine. It's like 10 years later, he's making... so I started thinking about this movie because No Time to Kill? No Time to Die or Kill, whatever it's called. The trailer came out, and it's pretty good. It's okay. All of the Bond trailers for the Daniel Craig era, they all look exactly the same. So, like I say on my other channel when I'm advertising my Indiegogo campaigns, 95% of advertising is just reminding people that something exists. So, the trailers all effectively go, a James Bond movie soon. And you're like, oh, okay, there's a James Bond movie soon. You tell your friends, apparently there's a James Bond movie soon. Yeah, everyone likes James Bond to varying degrees. I like it enough to see it and then just not even think about it in between, except for when I get reminded it exists. And then I remember that there was one that I actually legitimately love, and that's Skyfall. It also has a great... it has one of the best James Bond theme songs by Adele. It's actually, you know what? Spectre, which I hate. Spectre has a great theme song as well by Sam Smythe? Writings on the Wall. But I also looked into, I go, is it one of those ones? Because sometimes, I don't like it, but normies love it. Skyfall made $200 million more than Spectre, which I absolutely hated. Oh, that is bothering me. Apparently, No Time to Kill or Die is directly continuing the story from Spectre, which I hated that movie, and I brain dumped almost all of it. All I remember is one time James Bond is captured and then he escapes. He throws a satchel charge and it blows up an entire building. Not just a building, this entire complex. And he just walks away. I was like, why didn't you just drop that from a helicopter in the first scene and just... Apparently that was a very, very powerful explosive. Anyway, thanks for watching. I always forget, do I do the whole spiel at the end of these videos? I don't think I do. No, I don't. Thanks for watching. Bye.